Hamlet stands as the definitive English masterpiece, defined by its exploration of heavy grief, ghosts, and royal madness. Yet the inspiration for this world-famous play was actually a quiet family tragedy involving William Shakespeare's own 11-year-old son. This is Holy Trinity Church in Stratford. It holds the only definitive proof that the boy existed at all, a baptismal entry and a burial record. Beyond that, his life is an absolute historical blank. Chloé Zhao's 2025 film Hamnet fills this historical silence, imagining the private emotional wreckage that parish ledgers simply can't record. Look at this thatched cottage. This is where a young William first meets and courts a local woman named Agnes, known historically as Anne Hathaway. Agnes is fiercely independent. She works as a healer and possesses such a deep, intuitive knowledge of the local forest that her neighbors whisper she might be a witch. William is entirely different. He is a frustrated tutor desperately trying to escape the shadow of an abusive father, driven by an agonizing internal need to write. They marry quickly and welcome twins, Hamnet and Judith, in 1585. Soon after, William leaves the rural countryside for the theaters of London, entering his lost years, a 7-year period where no historical records exist of his life. Agnes anchors her life in the tangible reality of nature, while William anchors his in the boundless ambition of art. When trauma strikes, these opposing mindsets will ultimately force them to process the pain in entirely different ways. The twins grow up deeply intertwined, sharing a vibrant childhood, yet Agnes is haunted by an old premonition that she will only have 2 children standing by her deathbed, not 3. This historical woodcut illustrates the terrifying reality of the bubonic plague, a lethal infection that swept through England in devastating waves. The disease breaches the Shakespeare household in 1596, when young Judith falls gravely ill, leaving her family completely helpless. Hamnet makes a desperate choice. He decides to trick death, offering himself to the illness to spare his sister. Judith recovers, but Hamnet dies rapidly. William, working in London, receives the news far too late to return for the burial. The sudden loss of an 11-year-old boy shatters the family's equilibrium. Stripped of their emotional anchors, the parents are left entirely defenseless against the ensuing grief. William tries to fix the unfixable with money. He purchases the largest house in Stratford for his family, but the silence of the empty rooms is too much to bear, and he immediately escapes back to London. Agnes stays behind and completely shuts down. The immense trauma severs her intuitive connection to the natural world, leaving her navigating an absolute psychological darkness. This timeline tracks the long incubation of William's grief. Notice the period right after 1596. Scholars suspect he began drafting the Hamlet, an undocumented early predecessor to the famous play, as a messy, desperate attempt to process his son's death through writing. The tragedy splits the couple apart. William retreats into his fictional worlds, while Agnes remains paralyzed by reality. Years later, word reaches Agnes in rural Stratford that her husband has debuted a massive new tragedy in London. The title of the play bears her dead son's exact name. She is furious. To Agnes, William is mocking their child's memory, taking their intensely private family agony and commodifying it to entertain paying crowds. Driven by anger, Agnes leaves the countryside for the very first time, traveling directly into the overwhelming, sprawling city of London to find the Globe Theatre. She steps into a raucous, packed Elizabethan audience. Surrounded by the noise and the smell of the city, she braces herself to witness her husband's betrayal on stage. This performance is the breaking point. It is a direct collision between a mother's sacred, silent mourning and a father's loud, relentless ambition. But as the actors perform, Agnes's fury begins to dissolve. She watches the dialogue unfold and realizes William hasn't written a mockery at all. He has written an agonizing tribute. The true depth of his intention becomes clear when William himself steps onto the stage. He casts himself specifically in the role of the ghost, the murdered father of the young prince. He builds a fictional universe entirely to achieve the impossible, speaking to his dead child one last time. The real Hamnet lived and died in obscurity, granted only a single quiet line in a parish burial ledger. Hamnet demonstrates that the greatest art isn't born in a vacuum of solitary genius, but is forged in the trenches of shared human suffering, ultimately granting an ordinary boy theatrical immortality.